From donating $1 million to their fans after winning a Mr. Beast challenge to surviving 100 days in the wilderness, there have been several cases where Mr. Beast contestants perfectly represent the 7 heavenly virtues. My name's Ryan, and we'll be looking at the 7 Mr. Beast contestants who embody these virtues, starting with patience. Patience can be described as the ability to wait for something without getting overly angry or giving up, and no other Mr. Beast contestant exemplifies this trait better than Mack Hopkins, as he stayed patient through multiple colossal failures. Mack's story started back in October of 2023 in a video titled World's Most Dangerous Trap, which had a fairly straightforward premise.
I built a giant death trap, which is just one of many traps we built, and for every trap this contestant survives, he wins $100,000, but if he fails one, he loses everything.
And these traps were not easy, with Mack almost getting eliminated in the second round.
Oh my gosh, that was so... I'm speechless.
But he kept powering through each challenge until he reached the 8th trap based on the candy challenge from Squid Game. But instead of getting only one of the 4 shapes, Mack would have to carve out each of them in increasing order of difficulty. And he managed to get through the circle, triangle, and star just fine. Unfortunately, his luck would run out while carving the umbrella.
Wait, what just happened? Oh no.
This one blunder cost him $700,000 and the chance to earn $300,000 more. However, despite this massive setback, Mack took the loss like a champ. He was sad but didn't get angry or scream.
I'm such an idiot, dude. And I had it all. I had $700,000. I don't know why I did this.
Would it have hurt less if you just lost the first challenge?
So much less.
Fans loved Mack's patient and reserved attitude, and begged Mr. Beast to give him another chance, with one of the top comments on the video simply reading, "Mack needs another shot." And Mr. Beast agreed, inviting Mack back for another channel 4 months later in a video titled, "Face Your Biggest Fear to Win $800,000. In order to win the grand prize, Mack had to face brutal challenges like laying in a box full of spiders for 10 minutes,
I can't scare him. Would you say you're scared now?
being stuck in a sinking car, and being buried alive for 24 hours.
Oh, what the? Oh, this is so freaky.
However, none of them were as scary for Mack as the last challenge, which turned out to be a repeat of his last failure.
No, I'm not doing that again, dude.
Come over here.
No! Jimmy! I do not want to do this again!
In other words, he had to once again carve out the 4 shapes from the honeycomb candy to secure the grand prize of $800,000. Unfortunately for Mack, luck wasn't on his side this time either.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. I did that twice.
But once again, he showed impeccable resilience and patiently accepted his failure, earning even more respect from the audience. Mack's determination and resilience are truly inspiring. He deserves all the success that comes his way. Give that guy a chance. He fought harder than anyone else on this channel for a prize. This love from the fans paid off when Mr. Beast decided to give Mack a well-deserved 3rd chance in June of 2024. The challenge this time was to complete a Ninja Warrior style obstacle course.
This is just the first of many deadly, painful, absolutely insane obstacle courses that Mack will face in this video. And if Mack completes all 6 of the obstacle courses coming up, he wins $800,000.
There were some close calls. However, 3rd time's the charm. Mack finally managed to win the $800,000 reward, but even this massive cash prize is nothing compared to the truly life-changing reward he gained from his 3 appearances. You see, Mack's patient behavior throughout the challenges resonated deeply with Mr. Beast's audience, making him a fan favorite. So much so that Mr. Beast decided to make him a permanent member of the crew, right alongside Chandler, Carl, and Nolan. And to think that none of this would have happened if Mack didn't have the self-restraint to control his emotions and keep a cool head. Though if we're going to talk about self-restraint, we have to talk about Bailey and Susie. Temperance is the virtue of self-control and involves exercising restraint and discipline, and no Mr. Beast contestants showed more restraint than Bailey and Susie. Their journey began in the video titled Survive 100 Days Trapped, Win $500,000, in which they had to spend 100 days locked in an isolation chamber with 2 simple conditions.
If the 2 of you can survive the next 100 days in here, I will give you the $500,000 inside of this vault. But if one of you leaves before the 100 days is up, you both get nothing.
Jimmy also designed the isolation chamber to push them to the brink with harsh lights that stayed on at all times.
Once it gets super late at night, I physically feel my eyes stinging just because of how bright the lights are in here.
Extremely bland meals.
We gave them enough food for 100 days.
Which is healthy, but basically the exact same thing over and over again.
And 0 sources of entertainment.
I'm so bored.
I think that we're hitting a point where boredom is at like an all-time high. I woke up this morning and didn't feel like doing anything, so I just sat there and stared.
It's also important to note that Bailey and Susie were also complete strangers before entering this challenge. Yet despite their grueling environment and complete lack of prior connection, both had the temperance to stay until the end. Especially since they knew that if one person quit, the other would lose a challenge as well. And as if staying in the same white room with no access to sunlight wasn't hard enough, Jimmy decided to make things even more difficult for the duo.
Every 10 days, I will give you something that will make the challenge easier, but if you actually want it, you'll have to pay for it with some of your prize money.
In other words, they could make their lives inside the chamber a lot more comfortable with things like a private chef,
Use this as a floor for your imagination.
movies,
This is crazy, the amount of movies in here.
and super comfortable beds.
I will give you each a smart bed that are super comfortable and combined will cost $50,000 of your prize money.
But these luxuries came at a hefty price. The private chef alone, for example, would cost them 50 grand or 10% of their total winnings. If they weren't careful, they could easily lose most of their prize money on these items and make the 100 days of effort pointless. Fortunately, instead of giving in to these temptations, both contestants once again showed incredible self-control. They only spent their money on a few of the most essential items like a coffee maker and some books, which would help them have a higher chance at staying in longer. However, the biggest test of their temperance was yet to come. Now, you can argue that staying till the end of the challenge and not buying amenities aren't good examples of self-control. After all, both contestants simply wanted to pocket as much money as possible, which is a fair consumption. But this argument falls flat when you consider what happened near the end of the video. On the final day of the challenge, Mr. Beast presented them with an extremely tough choice.
You might be familiar with what we're about to offer you. You each have the choice to split the money and nothing changes. You both hit split, you just split it, keep what you have. Or if you hit steal, you can steal the other person's money. And if you both hit steal, you would get nothing.
Put simply, they both had a chance of doubling their money by pressing the steal button. If they were just after the money and had no restraint, that would be the most obvious choice. But that is not what happened. Instead, Bailey and Susie chose to split the money 50-50, proving that they are the embodiment of the heavenly virtue of temperance. As one comment on the video states, these two are honestly the best contestants Mr. Beast has ever had. They are so entertaining and good-natured. Of course, just being good-natured isn't enough to win a Mr. Beast challenge. You need to work hard and stay diligent if you want to make it big, which is where the next duo on our list comes in. Diligence can be broadly defined as the ability to do persistent hard work towards achieving a goal, no matter how hard things get. And there are a few things more difficult than surviving in the wilderness for months with extremely limited supplies. That is unless you have the go-getter mindset of Grizz and Hayes, featured in the Mr. Beast video titled $10,000 every day you survive in the wilderness. In a nutshell, the duo would earn $10,000 for every day they spend in a forest with no modern amenities like electricity, gas stoves, or even pre-made tents. Unlike other challenges that get progressively harder as time goes on, this one started tough from the get-go. Grizz and Hayes were also complete strangers before doing this challenge, but they had little time for introductions and had to start working hard from day one, setting up camp, collecting firewood, and going through the available supplies. By day 3, the duo started working hard creating a proper shelter, since sleeping on the ground was becoming quite difficult.
I'm gonna use my jacket to gather pine needles and layer them on the shelter.
All right, I found this metal piece from a kid's swing set, and I think it's gonna work great for the roof of our shelter.
Layer 1 on. Boom! Here's a section that we're working on. You can see it's got some structural poles. We get to use the parachutes and the cord, so we're gonna make a rain cover on our shelter.
Unfortunately, the shelter they created wasn't very effective at protecting them from the cold.
This is like the third day in a row that we've gotten 2 hours of sleep. It's been so cold. If it rained right now, we'd probably have to go to the hospital.
But little did they know that a warm shelter was about to become the least of their problems. You see, Jimmy only gave them 5 days worth of food in the initial supplies. So despite only eating the necessary amounts, they were starting to run out of food by day 6.
End of our supplies. Grizz likes to call it a fast, which sounds so much nicer than starving.
It even got to the point that they had to boil and eat the leaves of plants from around the forest.
And it's day 9 right now. These are greenbrier leaves. Grizz says they're edible, I guess.
By this point, the 1-2 punch of cold, sleepless nights and hungry days would have made most people quit. But both Grizz and Hayes were determined to do everything they could to extend their stay for as long as possible. For example, on day 10, they had the option to walk away with $100,000, which is not a huge amount by Mr. Beast standards, but is still life-changing money. However, they did not choose the relatively easy way out. Instead, they decided to trade half of their earnings till that point for additional supplies, once again, demonstrating their diligence and determination for this challenge. Things were starting to look up, but something worse than cold weather and hunger was starting to become an issue for the hardworking duo. They were both starting to miss their families a lot.
At this point, I've spent more time in the wilderness than I have with my newborn son. I also have a 2-year-old with my wife alone. How do you explain to a 2-year-old that daddy's gonna be gone and he won't talk to you and he won't call you and he won't see you?
However, despite missing their families and other major issues like snakes and rats, Grizz and Hayes stayed diligent for 74 days before finally ending the challenge. Even then, the only reason they called it quits was because of their families, and not because they were tired of working hard every day to survive the wilderness for 2.5 months. Though a major thing that also kept them going was their mutual friendship and kindness towards each other, something that the next Mr. Beast contestant on our list can relate to as well. Kindness is the virtue of being friendly, generous, and considerate to others, even if you have to sacrifice your own comfort and well-being. And few Mr. Beast contestants exemplified this quality more than Alex Esteban. On December 2nd, 2023, Mr. Beast released a video titled $10,000 Every Day You Survive in a Grocery Store. Initially, Alex thought the challenge would be extremely easy and claimed he could stay a year. However, Mr. Beast introduced a twist, which Alex managed by giving away items and building a functioning shower from the store's supplies. As the days went on, Alex struggled with boredom and loneliness. His feelings only intensified after spending time with his family on day 30. By day 43, his desire to be with his family outweighed the financial incentive, leading him to leave the challenge after 45 days, earning him $450,000. It wasn't until after the challenge ended, however, that we saw the true depth of Alex's kind heart and his care and love for his family. Immediately after receiving the money from Mr. Beast, Alex started executing part of the plan he crafted during the video, starting with paying off his family debt and investing money in his real estate business so he can give his family an even better life. He also spent over $100,000 on the new house he was building before he even got invited by Mr. Beast and later moved there with his wife and kids after its completion. He even did some Mr. Beast style giveaways like paying for every purchase in a shoe store.
I want to offer to buy your shoes for you if that's all right.
Are you shitting me?
No, 100%.
Oh my God, that's awesome, yeah.
And tipping hundreds of dollars, which goes to show that kindness isn't limited to just his immediate family. He's willing to help anyone and everyone he comes across. That said, the next Mr. Beast contestant is on another level when it comes to being charitable. Charity is a virtue of aiding others to make the world a better place for everyone, and among the many Mr. Beast contestants, Jaidenanimations is the prime example of this virtue. She's one of the biggest animation YouTubers, with over 13 million subscribers and 2.5 billion views in total. She originally became a Mr. Beast contestant back in 2019 in the video titled $200,000 YouTuber Battle Royale with 38 other YouTubers, and ended up winning $100,000 in that challenge, alongside Anthony Padilla and The Odd Ones Out with a last-minute clutch. More recently, she was invited to participate in the Mr. Beast video titled 50 YouTubers Fight for $1 Million. She was competing against 49 other YouTubers to win $1 million. The video featured many different challenges including the Squid Game candy game, a giant Jenga, Deal or No Deal, and a cooking competition. But while everyone else was focusing on more energetic contestants like Kai Cenat and Logan Paul, Jaiden kept slightly moving forward, and to everyone's surprise, ended up winning the entire thing.
I think it does.
You were so chill. I was like, surely she's out. You are the winner.
However, her winning the $1 million is not why she's on this list. Instead, it's what she wants to do with such a large sum of money. When asked about it, this was her response.
It's hard for a lot of artists out there. I just, I really like to send a lot of them to art school.
So instead of using this money to host some crazy event or make some high production video, she wants to pay for the art degrees of people who want to become a professional artist but don't have the funds for it. She also doubled down on this plan during a later stream, stating, "Obviously I don't keep the $1 million. This is for me to give away to subscribers. I don't want to touch a single dollar of it." And while paying for people's education is a very noble thing to do, especially in the United States, where student loans can take decades to pay off, some don't agree with their approach. As a comment on Reddit mentions that, she will send some of her followers to art schools, but I feel like that's not fair for other people who have other majors and passions. But on the other hand, most of her viewers are happy about her decision to help dozens of struggling artists get a fighting chance. Like this one fan on Twitter who also stated, "Deadass so happy that Jaidenanimations won MrBeast's video. She said she's gonna pay for a lot of artists' art degree, and honestly that'll be such a good thing in my opinion." The thing is, most of the people that are angry at Jaiden for not helping a more worthy cause are overlooking the fact that this is not her first involvement in philanthropy. Far from it. In 2019, she raised over $22,000 for a non-profit bird sanctuary in Florida. For World Health Day in April 2020, Jaiden also participated in the #Hope from Home charity livestream initiated by fellow YouTuber Jacksepticeye. In total, this event raised over $260,000 for the pandemic relief. In 2021, she also raised $73,000 for the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. More recently, she pinned this comment under one of her new videos, asking viewers to raise money for the people of Palestine. And despite her consistent involvement in all of these charity events, she never brags about it or takes credit for the money raised by her community. Though when it comes to staying humble, few can beat Nick DiGiovanni. Humility is the heavenly virtue of staying humble regardless of your position in life, and we'd be hard-pressed to find a more suitable example than Nick DiGiovanni. He was also a contestant in the 50 YouTubers Fight for $1 Million video, and also reached the final round with Jaidenanimations. He even had a solid plan for what he was going to do with the $1 million if he won.
I want to use a lot of it to donate as many meals as I possibly can.
And while reaching so far in a MrBeast challenge is enough reason for someone to brag, Nick has a lot more going for him. Calling him one of the most popular chefs on the internet would be an understatement. His YouTube channel has over 18.5 million subscribers and is on track to take over Gordon Ramsay. An even more impressive fact is that his channel has nearly 2 billion more views than there are people on this planet. Not only that, but he also has a degree from Harvard University. And as if that wasn't enough, he is also the title holder of 10 different Guinness World Records. Yet despite all of his accomplishments at the young age of 28, he never brags or shows off. In fact, it's quite the opposite. When an interview from Forbes asked how he got into cooking, this was his immediate response.
How did you get your start in this bit? What was your big break?
Family. I mean, growing up, I watched so many different people in my family. They all appreciated food in a different way, and they all taught me something different about food. Some came from different backgrounds. Some had different approaches in the kitchen. They all opened my eyes to the whole world of food, and I carried that with me forever.
Notice how he doesn't start by saying that he worked very hard or that he spent countless hours in the kitchen perfecting his art of cooking. Even those things are most certainly true. You simply cannot be an expert chef without their grueling practice. But he puts all of his own efforts on the back burner and humbly talks about his family first, how they inspired him, and how he wants to carry their teachings forward. What makes his answer even more wholesome is the fact that despite his explosive popularity in the last 5 or so years, he's still quite close to his family, and the video of him baking cookies for his grandma is more than enough proof of his family bond.
How are you, Nick?
How are you? I brought you a cookie.
Oh, I need a hug and a kiss.
You need a hug and a kiss?
Yeah, what I do?
Hug and a kiss.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Makes me feel better. Thank you, Nicholas. That could be better. This isn't in your book, though, is it?
It is in my book. What do you rate the cookie?
93.
A 93?
Yeah.
Well, what's in 100?
Well, I had to stop.
Your cookies?
I had to stop, certainly.
And the people love this humble and family man side of Nick, with a comment on the Forbes interview simply reading, "Great person." The Mashed magazine also described Nick as direct and humble over the fact that he's not afraid to talk about his failures as a chef. Another great thing about Nick's humility is that it allows him to break free from the classic chef stereotype of someone who's screaming and swearing at everyone around him. This not only includes his colleagues and other YouTubers, but also his partner who's been with him for over 5 years now. This does make him a good example for the virtue of chastity as well, but another MrBeast contestant is an even more fitting embodiment of that. While chastity is often described as a complete refrain from all sexual activities, it can also be defined as utmost loyalty to one's solemn partner in life. And for that, the first Mr. Beast contestant that comes to mind is Shawn Hendricks. He participated in the Mr. Beast video titled Survive 100 Days in Circle Win $500,000, in which he had to stay within a red circle for 100 days no matter what. Jimmy gave him a house and enough supplies to last the 100 days, and it started off like any other Mr. Beast challenge video. But only 40 seconds into the video, things changed completely with this interaction between Shawn and his family.
This is Shawn's family. I want to let you guys get one final goodbye in before he started the challenge.
No pain, no gain, Dad.
You guys will be here when I walk out of that circle with $500,000. But I'm gonna miss you guys.
Aww.
I'm gonna cry a little.
This was no longer a video about a man doing a Mr. Beast challenge to earn $500,000. Instead, it became a video about a good father and a loyal husband sacrificing 100 days of his life to earn a better future for his family. And the viewers loved this, with the top comment on the video reading, "As a dad, I couldn't imagine being away for 3+ months. Besides prison or military deployment, this is insane. Hero for his family." What made Shawn's loyalty to his wife and care for his kids seem so genuine is that they were always on top of his mind throughout the whole video. He repeatedly talked about missing them and wanting to see them as soon as possible.
This competition's a huge sacrifice. I only get so many summers with my kids, right before they're gone and out of the house. So that's tough.
I have 4 kids and a wife, and this will be the most alone I've been in 18 years.
He even had to spend Father's Day within the circle, which was definitely an emotional gut punch for him.
It's Father's Day. I kept waking up thinking I was home, really missing my family.
At the end of the challenge, Jimmy organized a massive crowd to congratulate his success, with balloons, smoke bombs, and tons of confetti. But the first thing Shawn did after stepping outside the red circle was embrace his family. Reinforcing to the viewers that he did all of this just for his wife of 18 years and the kids he had with her. Mad respect to him for sticking it through and remembering the end goal and how much he wanted to make his family happy. He killed that challenge. So while future Mr. Beast contestants might overtake the ones on this list for other virtues, it's hard to imagine anyone dethroning Shawn's chastity and loyalty to his partner and family,